We're live. Welcome everyone. FreeSpirit Fabrics here today. We are here with Ebond and Sarah Bond to share this wonderful collection by Ebond that is shipping in November of this year. Look at this. This quilt is great. We will introduce you to E and Sarah Bond in a few minutes. Right now, I'm Sharon Thornton, and I'm here with Lindsay Dryden and Kristen, taking care of the background of all of what goes on here at FreeSpirit Fabrics. This collection, like I said, is designed by Ebond, and it is called RAVEL. And Lindsay is up close on this gorgeous quilt. So this quilt is called the Glare Quilt. And you can see, look at how great the fabrics look in this quilt. This quilt is designed by Latifa Safir, and it is a 72-inch by 72-inch quilt. It is pieced, and there is also an acrylic arc template that you would need to purchase from Latifa Safir. Sorry, Latifa, I'm doing a terrible job with her last name. LatifaSafirStudios.com. And you would go there to get the pattern and the template to make this gorgeous quilt. And look at that. How wonderful is that RAVEL collection? And the quilt next to it, I'm not rushing you, Linz, whenever you get there. There's a quilt next to it that is also different presentation of the RAVEL collection, but beautifully done. Up and Atom quilt. And this is designed by Art East Quilting Company. And this is a 66 by 78-inch quilt. And this is pieced. And there is a singular template that will come with the pattern. And you would get the pattern for this at arteastquiltingcompany.com. Look at that quilt. So two beautiful quilts. These are the ones that we have samples of to show you today. And, you know, each one presenting the collection so differently, but so beautifully. You can see how well these fabrics all play together with one another. Wonderfully designed by Ebond, and she will be coming to us shortly to tell us a little bit more about her inspiration for the collection and, you know, how she does her artwork. She'll be sharing that with us, and then Sarah Bond will be on showing us some wonderful projects that she has made as well. So until we get there, Lindsay's going to come over here and show us the sales card. No rush, Linz. You're doing a great job. All right, so here's the sales card, and what this is showing the whole collection. Now, if you want to like get on top of it, just to show. He's going to talk about each one of these, so we're just going to give a quick little view here of all of these fabrics. Now, I don't want to take away E's thunder, so she can talk about all of these designs. But look at them, all so great. Love the punches of color. The neutrals are still in here, but in a very modern way. It's very fun. And I also wanted to show some of the inspiration that's on the card. These are, oh, actually, Sarah, you should probably, or E, I should ask one of you when we get there to talk about the Anna Unraveled quilt. This was a quilt, if I misspeak, speak now while I'm talking. Anna Unraveled is a quilt that I believe was designed, was made by your grandmother, your great-grandmother?
Yes, there was a quilt that was made by Anna Gibson Bond. She was my great-grandmother, and she was E's great-great-grandmother. And she was a quilter on top of all the other things that she was.
Mm-hmm.
So we used one of Luvinia's quilts, who was also a great grandmother, in the last collection. So it's sort of nice to bring a little bit of that past forward for us, you know, since certainly I, and I think E as well, is inspired by our foremothers in this game.
Yeah, I mean, it's so interesting to see the original. I wish I had thought to get the original, but to see the original and then to see it designed, you know, in modern fabrics in today's, you know, time. It's just really fun to see this, and I know that it's meaningful to you too. Yeah, and it is on here, even though I asked. It says Anna Gibson Bond. He's you're saying great great grandmother?
She was my great grandmother, and she was
Okay.
his great great.
Okay. So there's a quilt there, which is wonderful. And then we've got the tumbling bricks quilt. Again, we didn't have these made. We showed you the ones that we have made already. This is designed by the Cloth Parcel. And this is 54 inches by 72 inches. But again, look at, the fabrics just are great. They play so wonderfully together. And then on the back of the sales folder, we did a couple of dresses, because you could definitely think about clothing,
Excellent.
in this collection as well. We've got the Savi sundress by Sunhouse 7, and it's in 2 different SKUs, as you can see, or designs. One is twist and the other one is ravel. So definitely think of this collection in clothing as well. Don't, not just for quilts, can also be for home deck as well.
I've had so many people say to me that they're inspired to wear these fabrics in
Oh, yeah.
various lines.
Same. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's great. I mean, it's a great translation. So
Yeah.
it's not just for quilting. You definitely should be thinking clothing, quilts, bags, home deck. I mean, anything you can make, you can create using the collection. And then we've got the mousetrap quilt up here. This is by Sam Hunter, Hunter's Design Studio. And then we already showed you the Up and Atom quilt. We had that one in real life. And then on the back page, both of these quilts are designed by Latifa Safir. And the Glam Clam quilt, I know a lot of makers love this. I love how she did this one. I mean, that's just great. I love how the more neutral SKU here is in the background, and how these other, clam shells come up forward. I just think it's just a different look to the quilt. I know we've seen it a lot of different ways, but I really like this version of it. And then the last one here is the glare quilt, which we showed you in real life. And the quilts that you just saw in real life look so much better in real life. I mean, they look great here as virtual images, but look how much better they look in real life as well. So I'm going to change the camera. So I'm going to be changing it over to you.
Okay.
So here we go. Oh, there you are.
Here I am.
So welcome, We're so
Thank
excited to have you with us today. Thank you for joining us. And we are hoping that you can share, whatever you want to tell us about the RAVEL collection and the inspiration behind the artwork, and, anything you would like to give us a peek behind the curtain.
Yeah, sure. So I guess first I should let you know I'm an artisan designer living in Northern California, and this is my 3rd collection with FreeSpirit Fabrics. So I'm kind of getting the hang of it now.
Yeah.
But the first 2 were glyphs and root, and now ravel is the 3rd one. And for me, it really is kind of a continuation of the same thoughts that I've been having around language and shapes and letter forms. And you'll see in ravel there are a lot of letter forms. I've really kind of honed in on just the Roman alphabet as the shapes that I was going to play with in this collection. And it was really kind of thinking about, and I'll show you some of the artwork in a minute, but it really was thinking about specifically how to take things apart and how to put things back together. And what I mean by that was literally the actual shapes of the alphabet. I would cut them apart and then put them back together. So you'll start to see in a lot of the different fabrics, how that played out. Mm-hmm. But it really is, I think of ravel as, in my head as this kind of ellipses that comes like right after root and right after glyphs in my kind of exploration of language on fabric. Mm-hmm. So I'll show you, if you want to switch the camera, Sharon, okay. I'll show.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you. Perfect. We can see your table now.
Okay, good. So I put this one up first because this SKU is actually called Ravel, and it was kind of the one that started, or where the idea started to take shape. And I was playing around a lot with stencils just on my jelly plate, which is where I do a lot of monoprints. And so I just wanted to show you like actual stencils. Sometimes they're paper, sometimes they're, plastic, things like that. But you'll notice like in this particular print, all of the letter forms are still seen, you know, like you can tell what they are, even if they're jumbled or even if they're on top of one another. So I kind of started here in this thinking of, you know, to start where something has meaning, you know, like the letters in the alphabet have meaning. And then how far can I take it to where these same forms no longer have meaning anymore? So they start to kind of disintegrate as the collection goes on. So the ones in the beginning, like, you know, like RAVEL here, and let me show you this bright pink print.
Love that.
Here. You know, this one is small intertwine, or it became, I should say it became small intertwine, because this is what it looks like in the fabric.
Wow.
But this one, again, you can still make out like letter forms. You can see what's starting to happen as they're starting to disintegrate. And then it goes, you know, further and further down that line. Like here's another, these were really large prints I was doing. So you can kind of see here, there are actually even two pieces of paper that made up this one. So they're around like 18 by 24, just in terms of, you know, if people are trying to figure out size.
Right. So that one's called intertwine. So that's basically this coloration of the pink one that you said was small intertwine, just scaled down, correct?
Well, that's what's so funny, Sharon. So, you know, normally for the people who've seen like glyphs and root, you notice that most of my collections usually never have like repeat color, you know, color changes. It's usually like one pattern per, you know, I have 16 unique patterns, but this was the first time that there actually are separate, as you can see, you know, they're two different pieces of art. But because they were so close together, I mean, so close in
scale.
Yeah, we thought, well, let's just call them the same thing and make one small and one large.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Oh, very nice. I like that.
And then I did a lot of starting to play around within, well, what happens when our alphabet, or if I start to write, you know, if I'm like writing in cursive or things like that. So I did a lot of examples like this, and this one turned out to be Tangle. And then I'll even just show you, I mean, I just thought this one turned out so beautifully in fabric.
Oh, yeah. Look at that.
I love that one.
Yeah. I want to wear this one. This is one of those ones we were just talking about. Like, I really want to wear it. And then I did some other like writing, you know, kinds of examples or experiments. And this is where it's a part of a simic writing in other kind of art forms, where you can write on top of a line over and over and over, you know. There are a lot of artists who kind of play around with a lot of different asemic practices, but so you can see like these were lines of poetry, but I just wrote one on top of the other. And this was the one I was kidding around on Instagram because Sarah, my cousin Sarah, who's going to be on here later, really loves stripes. And she's like this amazing, you know, amazing quilter, and she really loves stripes. So she was always telling me, you got to make me stripes, make me some stripes. And I feel like every single time I do a collection, I attempt a stripe and I fail. But this was my attempt at a stripe, but you see, it didn't really happen.
Yeah, but it is. It's your interpretation. Yeah, your interpretation of a stripe. I love it.
Yeah, it was my interpretation. But one day I'm going to get you some stripes, Sarah, I promise.
All right. I'm patient.
So as I kind of kept going on this journey, I'm just kind of showing you some of the sketches. You'll start to see that little by little, this idea of letter forms really starts to disintegrate, you know, and these were when it almost was like the letters were disappearing into the atmosphere or back into the background. And this one I really love. Let me see if I can find that one on. I don't know if I have that one on here, but this one is Memory. And then this is the other one that I think kind of speaks to that same idea where the language literally is obliterated and now we're just kind of back to shapes and
Mhm.
forms. And this one is loosen. And just so you can see, they're all made so differently. So like loosen was really just this little piece of paper that was a print. It was a sketch. And then it became this gorgeous.
Yes.
Mm.
I was going to
Yeah.
ask, can you open that up a little bit more, E? It's almost like that one could even be a stripe, Sarah. A big
Stripe is a very, you can interpret a lot of things as stripe. It's that directionality and how you can play
Right.
with it in terms
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, and this one's so lovely because I don't know if you can tell, but the paper that I actually made it on was a kind of gridded,
Mm-hmm.
a gridded
Graph
paper.
Yeah.
And that is still showing like in the fabric here. And
Mhm.
it's so subtle, but it's so beautiful.
It is. Wow. It's amazing what they can do, what they can get onto fabric, you know?
I agree. I'm always amazed every single time.
Yeah.
So then just to kind of show you even more about just process. So like a sketch like this, which is Frey, started by just, having stencils that I then cut up,
Mm-hmm.
like into these pieces. So this was a W,
Mm-hmm.
And then I would move them around on the plate to make these compositions and then print them. So these are all like mono prints. They're just one of a kind. So if it didn't work or if it, if something went wrong, that was it. And, you just kind of start over. So Frey and Ebb have those same kind of shapes working with them.
Mm-hmm.
The cut up shapes. And here's the drawing for Ebb.
That fabric's gorgeous too, E.
Yeah, this one I
Yeah.
was so surprised by this one, I have to say, because if you can see how large the artwork is.
Mm-hmm.
So in my head, of course, I'm just seeing it, these large forms against this kind of icy frosted background. But then we started to play around with it being this smaller repeat.
Mm-hmm.
And it totally changed. I was just like, oh, wow. So I really love the people at FreeSpirit who play around and experiment with me, because I'll send them just these piles of artwork.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I won't have a thought about how it should repeat or how it should move into fabric. And Natalie, who's amazing, Natalie will, and she'll just be like, well, I was thinking this, what do you think? And I just love having that kind of collaboration on the other side of it. Because, for me, I'm so in my head when I'm thinking about the intentionality of the drawings and the monoprints, but then to have a partner or someone to really think about it in this way has been really fun.
Well, and as a piecer, it's really exciting to have those changes in scale to play with.
Yeah.
Because you have, the continuity going through in terms of the pattern, but then you have this variety in terms of scale that you can really use in your composition.
Yeah, it's so cool, Sarah. And this was another one that did that same scale shift.
Mm-hmm.
This is Jumble. And you see, Jumble was pretty large, if you think, and we had this big blue area and then this kind of pink swash. I always love when these colors kind of like juxtapose and like bump up against each other. But then we also decided that this one should be smaller.
Mm-hmm.
And I love what happened when this
Right.
almost became like a block.
It takes on a whole different look.
It does, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, wow, because then all of that acidy yellow starts to blend together and make lines or other shapes that I wasn't even, interested in, but love,
Right.
because I become interested in like one aspect of it, like for me. And then when it becomes the fabric, it's just like, oh, wow, it takes on a different thing.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
So that's Jumble.
So neat to see, E. I'm glad you're sharing this with us, because to see your artwork and then to see how we got to the fabric is so fun.
Isn't it? Yeah, it's really fun. I feel like that's always like I try to do it a lot on Instagram for people, as I'm showing as we like build up to a launch date, you know, so like each week I've been trying to show people, well, here's the artwork, like this is where we started and then this is where it ended. So this was one of the very last ones we added, and this is scribble.
Mhm.
And as you can see, it literally is just a scribble on a page. And I wasn't even thinking about it, you know, like I thought it was just like a throwaway. I'm like, you know, they were like, let's just, you know, send me a few things, when I think they wanted me to write out RAVEL a lot of times. And then somehow that like got in there too. And
Mhm.
then for it to become this gorgeous kind of
Mm.
all over creamy, you know, like, because it's not perfectly white.
Right. Yeah, the background is, yeah, it's like a off-white.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
just really was so surprised by my loving this one because
Yeah.
it wasn't one that I was, you know, kind of invested in.
Mhm. Well, you know, it's great because, you know, it might sound crazy, but it feels like a neutral with the rest of the collection, you know?
Exactly. Yeah. And I
Yeah.
feel like these two kind of help. And even
Yes.
this, I mean, I know people will think I'm odd to call this a neutral, but you know, because it has such bright backgrounds, but I think that these three are nice neutrals against these other ones that are
Yes.
a little more crazy.
Well, they're just stronger colors, so those help balance it out. So it's very
Yeah.
nice.
And this one I thought would be a really fun one to show you the artwork for. So this is Accumulate. And this was when, so you can tell this was at the beginning of the process when I was still dealing with full alphabets and I was just like dropping them on my plate and playing around with them. So these
Mhm.
were the drawings that I was doing, or the prints, they actually are monoprints, of some really large stencils.
Mhm.
And then this was the only one I think I had an idea like for the repeat, you know, because I really was trying to like isolate these clusters.
Mhm.
So this is like the actual cluster that is repeated over and over and over. Like it just
Wow.
kind of drops. And that's why it's called Accumulate, because it just feels like it's this amassing of something.
Right.
I love this one. You know, I always love to have, you know, some neutral colors to mix in with the stronger colors.
Yeah.
But there's something about this one that is, you know, sort of elegant, and then also, I don't think rustic is the right word, but you know, rough
A
around
little
the edges.
grungy, huh?
Yeah, and it's just, it really carries a lot. I love this one.
I do too. Make a great jacket,
Yeah.
you know, or a dress. That would be nice. Nice shirt.
Yeah,
trim.
I have a
it's
whole pile of patterns that, you know, these fabrics are supposed to turn into. They haven't
Right.
used them yet.
I do the same thing. I have piles of ideas.
yeah. There is something like that I loved that started to bubble up from this collection, and it was a bit of the grit and the grunge factor
Mhm.
that started to show up, which feels really, of course, authentic to my work, but it wasn't like something I was trying to make happen, like even in here where we have these ideas of like where paint would build up and things like that, and just the fact that the fabric can just translate that so well
Mhm.
is really nice.
It's fabulous.
I think that, the last one I wanted to show you, because this one I had nothing to do with, and I just feel like it's so beautiful.
Mhm.
I got a call from Natalie, you know, like we were all the way in the process of picking all of the ones that were gonna make it into the collection. And she just had this idea. She was like, well, could you make us a collage? Because she knows I'm a collage artist, like I mostly work in collage. And she said, could you make a collage of, you know, some of the other patterns that you had?
Mhm.
And I was like, oh, sure. You know, I didn't even think of that as an option. It's so, you know, funny how something can be like right in front of you.
Right.
But so we went back and forth a lot, but it actually ended up being Natalie's idea and Natalie's composition, because she was like, well, what about this? And then we'd go back and forth again, you know, and it
Right.
really just became all of these strips of things that as you can see some of the patterns that are in the collection, but then there's some that, you know, didn't make it in that I really love that it made it into this this one. So this one is called, I think this one's called Twist.
Yes, it's called.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this was the last one. And I
Wow.
think this would be a really great like dress too.
Yeah, that definitely would. Wow. So E, do you have people that are going to make for you?
Yes, I've already started bartering with my good friend Faith, who was here. She lives in New Jersey, but she was here filming some classes, and I was like, okay, well, I'll give you artwork if you make me some clothes, you know.
Ah,
So we're already bartering. She's gonna make me I think she's gonna make me a dress out of that one where I was like, oh, I really want to wear it. So this one,
oh yeah,
the tangle.
yeah.
And then a couple shirts, just so that
nice.
I can have some, because I love bright colors, so it works perfectly for me.
Right. Wow.
But that's about it. I just wanted to kind of show you where it all started, you know.
Right. Well, thank you for sharing all of that with us. It's great to see, because it's great to see the, you know, the artwork, and then to see how it translates over onto fabric. And
Yeah.
I mean, your artwork is amazing, but also shout out to the FreeSpirit design team, because
Yeah,
because they really work hard, and to see the detail of your artwork come through in fabric is amazing as well. So
yeah. I
um,
mean, yeah, it really is a collaboration, and I love it so much because I can have all of these ideas and intentions for the artwork, but it does need to then, you know, translate in some way into the fabric so that then other people can use it, and then, you know, it can keep going on and on and on. And that's what I love so much about this, because then I get to see what everyone else makes.
right. E, I just popped you back on.
Okay.
There you
Okay.
are.
Perfect. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it's so exciting. So like this part, like when it launches in November, like that's the part, my favorite part, because then I get to see what,
Yeah.
you know,
Whatever.
everyone does with it.
Right. What everybody's making. Right.
Yeah.
Just to remind everyone, you know, I know we're going to keep going, but again, this collection is called RAVEL, as you just told us. It's delivering in November, and it's a total of 15 SKUs or designs. I like to say both, because I know that internally we refer to them as SKUs, but I know as makers, we're referring to them as designs.
Right.
So, anyways, well, this is great. We can't wait for it to deliver, E. And I would encourage everyone that's seen the collection thus far that if you are excited about this, which I know you are, reach out to your local quilt shop and tell them, hey, I just saw something on FreeSpirit, Ebon's next collection, and I want you to order that into the store because I want it. So I would encourage everybody to do that if you are interested in seeing it, or find out what retailers are buying it, and let them know that you want lots.
Yes, lots and lots.
Lots and lots of fabric. All the piles of ideas for your sewing room.
Yes, because some of the other ones go really fast, which we learned the hard way with glyphs. So,
Right.
So,
right.
And Sarah's gonna show you some things that she's been making, and also she's got these beautiful quilts behind her that show glyphs and roots, so you can kind of see the continuation, you know, that RAVEL does.
Right. That's great. All right. Well, E, we might pop you back on in the future, but I will let you know.
Okay.
But meanwhile, Sarah, I want to introduce you to everybody.
Wonderful.
All right, hold on. There you are. Hi, Sarah Bond. Thank you.
Hi, how are you?
Great. So if you could just tell us, I know that you and E are cousins.
Mm-hmm. So first of all, I'm just going to say, I say this all the time, so if you're bored, it's too bad. That I am so excited to be collaborating with E. I've known E for, well, all her life.
Yes.
And,
let's not say how long you've known.
That's a long time.
No. And, you know, she's always been an amazingly creative person. And I've always, you know, been so compelled by her work. And, you know, we've talked over the years about doing some kind of a collaboration, but, you know, things happen, life happens, whatever, and we never did. And when she started designing fabric, it was such a gift, because I have been able to take these wonderful designs that she does, which is what she does, and turn them into quilts, which is what I do.
Right.
Yes.
So behind me, there's 2 quilts. This one over here is from E's first collection, which was called Glyphs.
Glyphs.
And I love this one. I usually try to get all of her fabrics into a quilt, and I usually use some solids with them, and FreeSpirit has been very generous about making those available for me. And the reason I like to do that is because E's designs are so strong, and if I'm going to get them all into one composition, I really need a little bit of quiet, in the quilt, so as to let them shine, because otherwise sometimes they end up sort of shouting over one another. And they're so amazing. I could talk on and on about it. So this one anyway was from Glyphs. And then this one over here is from her second collection, which was Root. And in both of these, you see that I am putting those solids in to sort of separate the fabrics a little bit so that I can see them, so that I can hear them. So that's kind of really my little jam, right?
Well, both quilts are beautiful, Sarah. Very nicely done.
I love them. I love them, and thank you.
I love those 2 so much.
I know, right? I'll put them in my will. Okay, so this time I was playing around with some of the same sorts of points, and paper piecing is really something that I do a lot of, not exclusively, but a lot of. And so I decided to do these. All right, so I'll put one of these bits that have these little lines in them. All right, so I'll just hold this up. So this is just a little zip pouch.
Love it.
And it's made from fray. I had to write myself a cheat sheet here. Fray and stitch. And I don't recall the name of the color of the solid. There's 2 solids here. There's this sort of lovely navy color.
All we need to know is that they are FreeSpirit fabric
FreeSpirit
solids.
fabric. And I actually can go in afterwards and put in the comments what the combos in if anybody wants to know. And when I did this, I really just reached into the bin. I also am very fortunate to get this bin of fabrics ahead of time, right? And so I just reached into the bin. I don't spend a whole lot of time thinking about what's going to go with what. I just look in and I reach, and then I pick some solids, to play with. So this one is fray and stitch. So we've got this gorgeous indigo in fray, and then this text sort of striped directional fabric in the stitch.
Yep.
And what I do, one of the things also about E's fabrics, a lot of times quilters, when we look at a fabric and we see something with a large scale design, we tend to try to put it in a large piece so you can see the whole fabric. And I like to do that, but I also like to section it off so that you get these little glimpses of the fabric, right? And they're just almost a whole different story than a whole piece of the fabric. So
that's my favorite part that you do, that you're not afraid to cut up the bigger thing,
Right.
So here's this gorgeous large fabric, right?
Right.
Beautiful. And I'll tell you, I'm not really that much of a blue person, but the indigo,
It's
sort
beautiful.
of with those little bits of that green in there, very compelling for me.
Yeah, it's very nice.
So we have that strong color offset with the neutral, so that worked out great. And I'm going to send some of these to those wonderful FreeSpirit fabrics once I get them done.
Oh,
FreeSpirit people.
we're going to wait for that box.
So I'm going to put on my my tabletop here so that, oops, that's wrong. So that you can see some of the other combinations that I've put together. Okay, so here we go.
Yeah.
So here's all my, what I have left. And I hoard this very specifically, early on in the process because, and people want it bad. I get people calling me.
I'm sure you do.
Like, sorry.
Yeah.
Mine. All right. So and maybe you guys can help me.
I can help you with names.
With the names. That's great.
Yeah.
So here, I put my hand in the box and came out with this strong pink, which, I I don't wear this color, but
Yeah.
I sure do like it.
Yeah, right. That one's small intertwine
Okay. And this
and
is scribble.
scribble. Yep.
Yeah. And then again, and I will look them up on my color card. I paired this for whatever reason with this sort of mustardy gold
Mhm.
I
and
love it.
another strong pink. And I really
I
like the
love
way
that.
I
pink-
like it too.
Yeah.
I want to wear that, like that combination.
Well, I'll work on it. So I did get myself a pattern. This is the latest one that I got, which is a bathrobe, which I figure I could kick that out. But
Yeah.
so, we could wear them in large bits, maybe not in public, but okay. And then the other one of the other things I like to do is to do a pattern and then switch the positioning of
Oh, yeah.
the fabric just to
Right.
see,
Okay.
Yeah.
sometimes it doesn't really make a difference and sometimes it really does. And then I like to sew them together along that edge so that
Yeah,
those
that's going to be pretty.
play with each other. Yeah. So as I was playing with these, I thought, well, I'm just going to do these to make these zippy pouches, and then I'm going to do something else with a quilt. And I decided I was so, in love with these combinations that I'm going to do a big quilt with all of this. But
Oh,
because
okay.
it's a little, y'all have to wait till it comes out. I don't know when I'm going to get done with it.
Oh,
Sarah?
wow.
Oh, that's beautiful. Sarah, this is all foundation paper piece, correct?
This part is, yes.
Yeah.
This is, yeah.
Okay.
So, and here's what it looks like. So you saw the one that I was working with before,
Mhm.
right? So here I am working with another set to go in that quilt, right? So I'm piecing with these pieces. Here's my outline material, and there's the foundation paper piecing.
I see. Yep.
on there.
Perfect. Very nice.
Wow.
All right, so here I've got
You've got intertwine with accumulate.
so this is intertwine.
That's accumulate.
So
Yeah.
this is accumulate and this is intertwine. Yeah.
Yeah.
So again, I loved both of these. And again, when you get them all cut up like this, you just again get these little glimpses, these little
Wow.
looks
Mhm.
at what the fabric is, but they play very well together. And then again, I will look up these colors, but I paired this with this sort of orangey red and then this gray.
Mhm.
And then here that
Wow.
is switched off.
Oh, looks so nice. I love how you do that, Sarah.
Yeah.
I can't stop. It's a bit of a problem.
Wow, this
Um,
one's great.
This one is this one we saw already in the zippy pouch.
Oh, in the pouch. Right. Right.
Mhm.
But here it is a little bit more easy to see. And so this is spray and stitch, right?
Yep. Yep.
This, I am a sucker for a funky chartreusey.
Me
You know.
too. Yeah. I love that.
Mhm.
Such a
Looks
good
really
pop.
great.
So then here, and I love this one.
That is
Lee.
pretty.
Oh yeah, now that one is loosened, and that was the one that I asked at the very end to add that back in because
You
I
told me.
just was in love with it.
And I was
Mhm.
really happy that you did because, like I said before, I'm not a super blue and purple girl.
Yeah.
I really like to have those, vivid colors, those strong colors. So I was really happy to see this. Not
Yeah.
that I don't like the other ones, but
No, I totally get it. Honestly, I was really surprised at how blue this collection was, and I made it, So sometimes it sneaks up on you. I don't even know what I'm doing.
so here particularly, you can see how this really complex and very large scale pattern here breaks up
Oh.
into
Yes.
these other pictures. And here's another one.
I know,
I
that looks so
love it.
interesting though. I love how it broke out.
Me too. It almost looks like landscape now, like
Mhm.
mountains, like all these things.
And
Mhm.
so this is that one. And what is this one?
That's remainder.
Yeah, I love this one. Just because when you were talking about how you're deconstructing those letters and we get down just these little bits of them that are
Yes.
still left.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, I guess I was pulling maybe this green, although this really isn't the same green as is in it. Wait, maybe
It looks good though. The
does.
combination looks really fabulous.
I love it. Yeah, I love the way this one.
I think what you're doing too, Sarah, is kind of what I was doing in the making, is like really playing around with what is the foreground and what is the background
Mhm.
of something, because when the letters really do start to disintegrate, they start to almost flip, and it's no longer like the foreground, it becomes the background.
Yeah, and
you-
when you're looking at a full piece of it, you get more of that, you can
Yes.
see those letters a little bit more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can see them. Yep. Wow. Sarah, did you say that there was a name for this quilt?
Oh, no, I'm terrible at names.
Oh, you haven't named it. Will there be a pattern for it? We have somebody who's asking, or maybe many that are
So
asking. I'm
I
not sure
do-
which.
I actually, this is not really part of this part, but this is, I'm lying. The pattern is called, give me a second, good Lord.
That's okay.
Tiger Melon, Tiger Moon. And I actually do have a class coming out this year on this.
Tiger
on
Melon?
Creative Bug.
Did you say
Oh,
Tiger
yeah, it's on
Melon?
Creative Bug.
Yeah, it's coming out on Creative Bug.
Oh,
It's not out yet. I have 3 more classes. I have 2 out already and 3 more coming out on Creative Bug.
on Creative Bug.
And then I just used, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but one of a pattern from Noodlehead to do,
Oh, yeah, you can, yeah.
to do the zippy
Plug,
pouch,
plug away, Sarah.
which is super, super easy, you know, for people who are not, you should excuse the expression, bag ladies. You know, some folks can take that really, you know, fancy, complicated pattern and knock it out and it looks fabulous. But for those of us who are a little more elementary, I like to do this. And this is a great pattern too. If you make, you know, maybe you start making these and you think, you know, I'm just not going to make 46 of those to make a quilt. So what can I do with that block from
Right.
that class or whatever? And this is a
Right.
great option.
Right. That's awesome. Yeah, because you can experiment with the technique and yet still
Uh-huh.
make something. Yeah,
Yeah, you don't have to make the whole giant. I'm a giant quilt girl, but you don't have to be one to have fun.
right.
All right, so there's that. Let's see. So then, oh, I did this one already, didn't I? And I think we did this one. So I have a few down here that have not made it to,
Oh, haven't made it to a background yet, but they're
Right,
so
right.
pretty.
But I have to say, part of the reason I was doing these zippy pouches is I found these metal zippers. Now,
Wow.
half of the people out there are going to say, so what? And the other half are going to go, oh my God, look at those.
I know. I'm like swooning.
I know, the colors are so great. And that metal zipper, I don't know, it's just, somehow it just has more character than, you know, the nylon ones. whatever.
Yeah, they definitely do.
All right, so here I have, is this Ravel? Is this, no,
That one is Unravel.
Unravel, all right.
Yeah. And that's
One
Jumble.
Showed us, this is Ravel?
No, that's Jumble.
Jumble. So Unravel and Jumble, okay. So for whatever reason, I picked this sort of corally
Yeah.
pink color. I don't know what possessed me, but that's what called to me. So that's what I did on this one.
I love
And
it.
again, both of these are really busy, but somehow with a little bit of separation, you know, they cool down a little bit.
Hmm.
And eventually I'll pick, you know, something to pair those with.
Right. They look wonderful, Sarah.
And then here,
Ooh.
your girl actually picked purple, which is something I don't do very often.
Wow.
Lovers out there.
Wow.
Nicely done, Sarah.
And then I'll go ahead and pair this and tell me what these are.
Okay, so that one is Ebb,
Uh-huh.
and then the other one is Tangle.
Oh, nice. Nice.
And I love what happens to Ebb when you're getting just the frosted bits of the
Mhm.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's so cool to
It's
see.
really
and then-
beautiful.
We also have them in the reverse there, which in this one might sort of even look a little bit different.
Wow,
Oh,
yeah.
It does. Sarah, can you put the other one up against it like you did earlier? Like turn, yeah, I wanted to see that. Wow. Looks really beautiful.
Yeah. And I like, you know, I mean, not everybody wants to do this kind of work. It is a little fussy, but I just love it.
Mhm.
I love to throw those solids in with a print. I feel like it modifies them in a wonderful way.
Mhm.
Wow, look at that one.
I love this
Wow.
one, right?
Yeah,
Wow.
Isn't that delicious?
That is so juicy. It almost just feels like summer, like watermelons and
Mhm.
like
I know. I was
So
thinking
tell me
the
what these
beach.
two are. I'll do my homework next time, I promise.
no, don't worry, don't worry. Like I said, I'm bad too. I'm using a cheat sheet. This is Ravel is the blue one, and Memory is the corally pink one.
Now Ravel is, you know, I'm predicting that's going to be a big crowd favorite. It's so pleasing in so
Mhm.
many ways. But I really
Yeah.
love this one too. Let me see if I can find it. So here's what happens when you put two of the same together, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
And then here's when you offset them
Ooh.
against each other.
Very nice.
And then this is just, again, sorry, don't know the name of it, but this is a FreeSpirit solid.
That's okay.
And it's just this really sort of nice dark aqua, teal / I don't know even know what. That I, really place nicely off of both of these, because you've got these little bits of green and blue in this pink one, and then all the good blues in the other. So that,
Well, Sarah, we don't know the names of all the colors either, just so you know.
I looked them up at one point, but of course I can't find a piece of paper that.
We just know that they're beautiful FreeSpirit fabric solids. That's all we know.
Exactly. And I sure do love a solid. So that's what I've been putting together. And sometime in the future, I'll post. And if anybody wants to find it, I'm on Facebook, but I'm also on Instagram at SLB Philly. And I will post and I will tag FreeSpirit and I will tag E. So if anybody, wants to see the quilt when it's finished, it'll be there eventually. It's gonna take a little while.
Exciting.
Yeah. Well, Sarah, if you could put something up that says coming soon, maybe for the pattern, so that people can at least let you know. Because Kristen, there are people that are asking, correct? Yes. So maybe someplace where people can at least know that you could say coming in whatever month or whatever you think your pattern may be ready.
Yeah, it'll be coming out. I haven't, day job, all that. So I haven't done a lot of, getting my patterns ready to sell, but it will be available with the class on FreeSpirit sometime this year. And I will definitely put that out there when it comes out.
That's awesome. And Sarah, if people do want to see where you are teaching, where do they go?
So I will usually post that on my Facebook and my Instagram.
Okay.
And you've got the classes on Creative Bug. They can go straight to Creative Bug and just look up Sarah Bond.
Yeah, there's two on Creative Bug now. There's a circular geese and pickle dish. Now, but
nice.
the tiger melon is coming now. I mean, coming this year. I'm not sure what's next, actually.
Yeah, don't say now. We're going to want it now.
Not now, not now.
Not now.
But before the collection delivers, right? Before November?
I don't know, because I don't control that.
Oh, all right. Well, we hope so, because that way, for those people that are buying the fabric to make that quilt.
Yeah, I would. Hopefully, I'll get the quilt done by then, definitely, and I'll post. I'll let you guys know.
Right. Well, that's awesome. Well, thank you, Sarah. I love seeing all the inspiration that you've done. The quilts behind you are phenomenal. Can't wait to see this one added to your collection when it's done. No pressure, Sarah. We don't want to see it like next week or anything. And I love that you shared the bag. So thank you for sharing all of that with us today. E, I'm just going to switch the camera back to you.
Okay.
Sarah, I know that you'll still be here, so feel free to
I'll jump in if I have anything brilliant to say.
Right. So E, thank you for joining us today. We are so excited to have this third collection from you with FreeSpirit Fabrics. And it's just so great to see, your process and how you, work through your art and then how it gets to fabric. I mean, it's pretty amazing, right?
Yeah,
are you creating?
I love talking about it.
Do you create daily, E? I mean, do you?
Yeah, I am. I'm a pretty much a daily person in terms of creating, just because for me, it's easier that way. Like it's easier for me to kind of keep a level thing as opposed to, up and down, like entering into it and coming out of it.
Right.
So even if it's just like in my sketchbook, that's enough, but it just kind of keeps the thread going.
Right.
And
so,
as a quilter, I always tell, people, set yourself up. And I know you do this. Set yourself up so that even if you have 15 minutes or half an hour, you can do something. Doesn't have to be brilliant. Doesn't have to be groundbreaking. For me, if I just can get fabric between my hands and sew some things, it keeps me greased up. It keeps me ready.
Totally. Yeah. And what Sarah's saying is 100% what I do. I always say, nighttime E prepares for daytime E. So like I leave things on the table, like half done, because I don't like to enter into something brand new. So I usually have things at different levels of completion.
Right.
too. So that like, if I'm not quite ready to take on a thinking thing, maybe I can do something with my hands. You know, it
Right.
just depends on like where your brain is every day.
Right.
But
Well,
yeah.
you described my sewing room perfectly. It's just, there's just stuff everywhere, you know?
Yeah.
Today's idea might not make it till tomorrow, but another one.
Yeah. Nobody's keeping score, or at least I'm
Right.
not, you know, like as
Right.
long as you're making, I think that's the best thing.
Right, exactly. So, all right. Well, I just, again, E, thank you for being with us. We really
Yeah.
appreciate it. We're very excited to see this collection. Again, it'll be delivering in November of this year.
Yeah. And if anyone has any other questions about it or whatever, I usually post a lot on Instagram about process, because that's the part I like to talk about the most. So I've been doing like weekly posts about each pattern and kind of like how they came to be.
Right.
Oh, and I'm on Instagram, I'm E is rough draft.
Thank you. See, we
I forgot, I know.
E is rough draft.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's awesome. So yeah, look for E out there on Instagram. You're primarily on Instagram, right?
I am, yeah. I can only handle one.
Yeah, I know. I'm kind of the same way. I just have to get cool and get on Instagram. Too many commercials on Facebook now. I can't even find anything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's easy to be on Instagram because then you can just post to Facebook from your
Oh.
Instagram post. So
Yeah, that's true.
it's just the same amount of work.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, true. Exactly. So again, if you watched today, thank you, E. Thank you, Sarah. Love seeing the fabric, love seeing how it's designed, how Sarah's been creating with it. I'm sure that, those of you that have seen what Sarah's done with the fabric have got other ideas, if not just her idea. And different things that you can do with it. And then we are going to end with Lindsay showing these quilts one more time, because
Yeah.
I
now
was
that
just
we've
gonna
had this,
say,
now that we've had this up close and personal, explanation to the design of the fabrics, we get to look
Yeah.
at the quilts again. So I'm sure everybody will see it as being, maybe a little differently now as we pan out. So hold on.
Yeah, and those two are so beautiful. Thank you to all the people who made these. Oh, Latifa, who made like 2
Yes. Yeah. Well, right. She did the 2 for the sales cards.
for the sales card. Yeah.
Right. And then this one. So again, this one's called the Glare quilt. And it's designed by Latifa, 72-inch squared, like we said earlier. And if you want to get the pattern for this, it's LatifaSaphirStudios.com. And then the other quilt next to it, sorry, Lynn, to rush you. That quilt is called Up and Atom. And that is designed by Art East Quilting, and it's a 66 by 78. But again, I don't know if Lindsay, if you can kind of get both quilts in the same picture, just see how the collection just shows so differently at both quilts, but yet phenomenal in both quilts. So great quilts, a lot that you can do with this collection. We really encourage you to get creating. So that's it for today. So we thank everyone for joining. Thank you again, Sarah and E. And thank you to all of the quilters and makers out there. We hope that we have inspired you. So have a wonderful day, and we will be back soon. Take care, ladies.
Bye. Thank you.